Today, I'm going to share with you how to not only easily handle 25 plus listings at all times, something that I did for 8 years in a row as a single agent, but I'm also going to share with you how to sell them bad boys. Right now, the market is more prime than ever to go out there and stack listings to the moon. This moment is not going to last forever. You've got to take advantage of it while it lasts. And the reason why you're not doing it is because you're scared to do it. So we're going to break you of that and get you ready to take your 2025 to the next level. I'm Ricky Carruth, and this is your Monday Morning Strategy. Okay, what is up, everybody? Hope you're doing super well. I'm really excited, as you can tell, for this video. I've been getting this question a lot lately. Agents are worried. They're scared to go out there and get listings right now because days on the market are up. They're worried that the seller is going to be upset with them if they don't sell the properties, and they're definitely scared to stack listings. This opportunity will not last forever. I'm going to share with you how to set the right expectations with your seller, and I'm going to share with you how to set up your systems so that you can optimize and literally have a carefree business with tons of listings. All the top agents have a large inventory of listings. Okay, this is what I want to help you accomplish. If you have questions during this video, or if you have an idea on what you want my next video to be about for my Monday morning strategy video, just comment below and let me know what it is. Happy to answer questions, happy to look at different topics that you want me to cover. The next thing I want you to realize, and this is really going to help you find this carefree, stress-free place, you're not there to sell the listing. Think about it. How many active listings would actually be on the market if agents could make listings sell? Zero. We can't make properties sell. We can't. It doesn't happen that way. The market sells the listings. See, clients think we sell the listings, and that's a misunderstanding on our part of articulating what we actually do. We're good at representing the property in a way that attracts the best buyers, because the way that you present it online and in person can attract or not attract the best buyers. So we want to do a really great job there. But our job really starts once we get the contract. From contract to close, that's really what we get paid for. Advising our clients, consulting them, making sure that the deal goes smooth, making sure they get the best deal possible, making sure all their bases are covered, making sure that they're getting the best possible outcome that they could possibly get. And we're the professional. They aren't. And one little mistake could cost them thousands and even tens of thousands and even hundreds of thousands. I've seen it happen. So I want you to understand your job isn't necessarily to sell the listing. Understand what people want to do and why, and help them do it. If they just want to have their property in the market for whatever reason, great. As long as you understand what the consequences are. We'll cover setting the expectations of the seller in just a second. The third thing I want to talk about before we get into setting the expectations and setting up your systems is this little nugget. I use this nugget to stack so many listings. This was such an amazing little hack that I just have to share it with you right now. I never let my listings expire. And I did it because I was tired of watching my listings expire. Other agents pick them up and sell them. And I said, that ain't happening no more. That ain't going to happen at all. So I put two and two together. I realized sellers can back out of listing agreements anyway. So why not use that as leverage to help them make the decision to sign a listing agreement with me, giving them all the power in the world, at the same time letting them know I'm going to try to sell this until it either A, sells, or B, you tell me to stop. And so I wrote it in the listing agreements. Seller may cancel this agreement at any time for any reason. And then there was never a cancellation fee. I never charged my sellers a dime to cancel with me. Any money I spent on the listing, I ate it. The data that I see, you're going to sell a good 70-ish% of your listings anyway. So you got to get 30% of listings that just aren't going to sell, that you're going to eat whatever those fees or marketing, dollars or whatever you spend on that listing for pictures, etc. I'm okay with that, because another way I looked at it is that I was investing in the relationship, right? If I charge them a cancellation fee, that could be a thorn in their side, that they're like, I'm not, they're going to cancel anyway. So they cancel, I charge them a cancellation fee. They smile and shake my hand. And then 2 years later, when they decide to sell, they're like, nah, I don't like how he charged me that cancellation fee. I'm going to go with this agent over here. right? But if I don't charge a cancellation fee, I feel like that's an investment into the long-term relationship with the client. And listen, they cancel, I'm like, okay, great, boom, it's off the market. Let's go have coffee. Like, let's continue the relationship, right? And when they do cancel, like, I'm understanding why. Of course, I'm going deep with, why are you cancel? What's your plans? Which way are you going to go? I want to understand that to the fullest, of course. My point is that I never let a listing expire. This gives you a great opportunity to let your listings stack up. I had listings for 2, 3, 4 years, and I sold them. And those clients bought other things. I would overprice listings, not because I wanted to, because they wanted to, and they understood the consequences. And they would sell in a day. There were several deals like that where it was overpriced. That I explained to them, chances are nothing's going to happen here. And then something happened really quickly. I also had listings like that I had for years. I had some that were like, after 8 months, they're like, Ricky, get it down to the price we need to sell it. I'm like, okay, boom, sold it. And I had some that were overpriced, and the market actually caught up to it after about a year or two. And some sellers will gradually reduce their price, and the market will gradually come up until they meet somewhere. I've had that happen several times, but like, I'm just trying to create relationships and extend those relationships as long as possible. That's all I'm trying to do. Another quick tip is when I'm telling people about prices, and since we're talking about overpriced listings and stuff, is I like to give people a percentage range of of the percentage that it might or might not sell. So like, if we're way overpriced, I'm like, there's about 2 or 3% chance it'll sell. Are you good with 2 or 3% chance? Right? Or I might say that's about a 30 to 40% chance if it's closer. So I like to give percentage so they can visualize what they're actually doing. Based on the comps and my experience in the market, you got about a 30% chance that this property will sell around that price. It doesn't matter to me. Again, not trying to sell the listing, trying to help people do whatever it is they're trying to do. It's a different philosophy than a lot of people who turn down listings that are overpriced. They turn down people that aren't serious right now. What I realized was that people are going to do multitudes of deals in their life, within my career, within the range of my career, and they're going to refer a lot of people. I want all of them. Like that's who I am. I want to help everybody. And when I get to the point where my business is so massive, which it became, I was picking and choosing what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do. To a certain extent, I could actually handle most everything. Even when I got to where I was doing 100 deals a year, we were literally standing on our heads. And I always had 20 to 30 active listings and 10 to 20 pending deals at all times. So never let your listings expire. Put it in the the listing agreement. Seller can cancel this agreement at any time for any reason. And for the expiration date, do whatever you have to do. And I always just put it in MLS for like 2 years or something. Whenever I put them in MLS, for like 2 years. The seller knew that I was going to try to sell this until they told me to stop. Moving on to the very first part of this 2-part process. The first part is setting the right expectations with your seller. So this is huge, okay? When you're going into this, we've already talked about this a little bit with the percentages and overpricing, and we're going to continue trying to sell this property until it either sells. We're already talking the language right then and there, but more so, there's 2 things here. There's the market that we have to articulate really well. We have to do what I call paint the picture. I want to paint the picture of what the market is giving me, and I want to paint it in a way that they can easily visualize what is happening. The second part of setting expectations is the communication that you're going to give them during the listing so that they know what to expect. So let's talk about painting the picture. When you go to listing appointment and you understand why they want to sell, and you always want to try to get them to give you their price first. When I price a property, the comps play into it about 10%. 90% of it is what the price the seller wants and why they're selling. Things sell for different than the comps all the time. They sell below the comps, above the comps, everything in between. You can't pinpoint what this property is worth to a specific buyer. And one buyer thinks it's worth this, the other buyer thinks it's worth that. You don't know which buyer is going to come along and what they're going to offer and what they're going to be willing to pay. at any given time. You don't know what the market's going to do over the next couple of weeks. You don't know. So there's a lot of factors here. And so it's really hard to kind of do that. I'll give you another tip because I'm just throwing nuggets at you here. Let's say I'm on a call with a seller who wants to sell and I'm understanding why they want to sell. Okay, great. I'm going straight into why you're selling. I want to understand exactly your situation. I'm going 5 to 10 questions deep. I'm understanding. I'm not having a surface level conversation. I'm understanding what's going on. I'm comforting them with curiosity and dependability. And then as I get off the phone with them, right, the first thing I do is I go to the county records and I look up and see when they bought the property, how much they paid for it. That tells me a lot right there. I'm slowly putting myself into their shoes, becoming very empathetic of their situation. And now I kind of have some inside information. And I know generally what the market's done since that, whatever that year was that they bought. If they've put work into the house, I need to understand what work they've done, approximately how much money they put into it. I can kind of figure out maybe what they want to make out of the deal just based on all that. I want to understand what I'm dealing with to the fullest extent. I want every little advantage I can to help this person. That's the first thing I do. Understanding why, understanding when they bought it, what they paid, and maybe whatever upgrades or anything else that they put into it. This is slowly getting me into the mode of understanding what they might want for the property. When I'm there, I'm trying to get them to give me their number first. I want to know what they want for it. And then I use the comps right in front of them. So I say, okay, you want 400,000? Okay, great. I have the comps on a 1-page sheet. I've got actives, pendings, and closed deals, all the recents, and I sit down with them and I say, okay, you want 400? Now let's look at this. This is painting the picture. This is articulating what the market is doing. And the comps, guys, the comps that are out there, what's closed, the prices, where the prices have been, where the prices are, days on the market, age of the house, size of the house, all these things, all these factors. It's not hard at all to paint a picture of what the market is so that they can get a clear vision of what this listing is going to look like in terms of timing, days on the market, price they're going to get, et cetera, et cetera. You have to do a really good job of articulating these things to your prospects. The agent who articulates the market the best in this market is going to win. They want a professional that knows the market. You should be watching your MLS hot sheet every day. Closed listings, new listings, pending deals, withdrawals, cancels, expireds. You should be glancing through all of that every single day to keep your finger on the pulse. You should be Googling your market, like Gulf Shores real estate market, and hit the news tab and look at all the different news articles and see if a headline sticks out to you to click and read some data. And keep up to date on every little piece of data because your clients are listening to national news. They're listening to national stats on the housing market, and that's confusing them. You've got to be the local market expert that knows your local market like the back of your hand. Back in 2021, you didn't have to. You list the property for whatever you want. It sells for higher. Like you couldn't miss. You just listed whatever they want. It sells for more. You didn't have to be necessarily a local market expert. In this market right now, whoever is the local market expert improves to the client that they know what they're talking about. They know their numbers, they know their stats, and they're able to articulate that statistical picture for their clients is the one who's going to win. So setting the expectations, setting the right expectations is all about knowing your market and painting that picture for them so that they can clearly visualize what's going to happen here. The next thing you want to set expectations on are your communications during the listing. What I did personally was that every other Friday, I set the whole morning aside, 3 hours, and I used those 3 hours to study the internal and external factors of the listing. The internal factors are how many times it's been shown, what the feedback is, etc. The external factors is what's going on with all the listings around the home, in the subdivision or around the home, condo, land, whatever it is. And seeing, did something change? Did a new listing pop up? Did something go under contract? Did something close? And I may even call some of those agents that have those properties listed around my listing to understand the market to the fullest before I call my seller every other Friday. There may be something that went pending and I'm like, oh, well, that was priced close to ours. I'm going to call the agent and say, hey, I know you can't tell me the exact price, but how close did you get, right? Is it anywhere in the ballpark there? Give me something to work with so I can give my seller some information so that if he needs to make a change of some sort, he can do so. This is just something else that agents do that goes unnoticed, right? Just paying attention to those external factors of the listing and keeping the sellers informed. I mean, they can't do it. They're working. They're doing whatever they do. This is the part right here. When you talk about worried about selling listings, don't be worried about the listing selling. Be worried that you're not staying on top of the market to inform your seller what's going on so they can make the best decisions possible. Now, before I get into setting up your systems, I want to talk just a second about getting the listing. I don't want to get too much into it. I just want to talk about your unique value proposition, right? What makes you unique to all the other agents? What differentiates you, and what is your superpower? I'll tell you what mine was. Mine was that when I was talking to sellers, I would tell them, they're like, what makes you different? Or, why should I pick you? I'm like, well, I'm going back to the office right now after this meeting to make calls about other listings that I have. I'm calling smaller or older properties to see if they want to upgrade into the listing. I could actually be making those calls for your listing if you move forward right now, because I'm going back to the office to make calls anyway. I could be calling people around here that may be interested in your house. And so that was always my value proposition, that I was willing to get on the phone and target potential buyers that very well could be thinking about moving or upgrading into a bigger, nicer home. And I would call those owners, and it worked like a charm. That was my value proposition. That was something that I know no other agent was telling them at listing appointments. And that right there won me a lot of listings. So what is your value proposition? Do you do something special on social media? Do you do something special when it comes to direct mail? Do you do door knocking? What do you do that differentiates you, and how can you articulate that to the seller to show them how you're different? So that's not what this video was about, but I just can't help but to keep giving you some golden nuggets here. And the second thing here is setting up your systems. Okay. So I can just tell you, I was doing 100 deals a year. We're picking up about 2 listings on average per week, every week for 8 years in a row. I had an assistant during that time. So I'm going to talk about what my systems were as I had an assistant. When you don't have an assistant, then you've got to grind it out through this to get to the point where you can get an assistant and put these systems in place. It didn't just happen overnight for me. I hired my assistant in 2014. That was the year I did 100 deals. Right? Coincidence? I think not, but think about it. I got in the business in 2002. I hired an assistant in 2014, right? We're talking about 12 years later. So don't sit back and think that you got to go hire an assistant right now and get all these systems in place right this second. I want to tell you this so that you can visualize, and don't think that this is like the checklist. I'm giving you what I did as an example so that you can put your own systems in place. When I had a seller that said yes, I would text my assistant and I would say new listing. I would say the property address, the property owner's name, their information, email, phone number, etc. I would give her the listing price and the commission agreed on. I would just text her that information, and then I was hands off from there. I would talk to the seller via phone, via listing appointment, whatever it was. I would text her that information, and then I didn't hear anything else until an offer was made. So what happened from there? She got the text. She would DocuSign the listing agreement. As soon as she DocuSigned the listing agreement and got it back signed, she would order pictures. As we're waiting on pictures to get back, which normally took about 2 to 3 days, she would put a partial MLS entry in for a listing. As soon as the pictures got back, the partial was ready to roll. She would input the listings and make it active. As soon as it was active, she would do an email out to all the agents in the area saying new listings. She would also send a postcard out to the entire subdivision or surrounding owners or whatever, alerting them about the listing. And then any showing requests that happened came directly to her. I didn't know anything about it. And she would handle the showing, get the agent in there to show, as many showings as it took to get an offer. Once an offer came into play, that's when I stepped back into the picture, negotiated the deal with the seller, handed it right back to her, let her do all the transaction coordination stuff. That was the general system for my assistant to go out there and do those things. Now, on the back end, I'm a whiteboard with all my pending deals. And every single day, I would look over this pending board and I would go through every deal in my head and think about what's going on with it. Do we need to do something? Is there a deadline coming up? I may even turn my head and talk to my assistant and say, hey, what about this deal? Did we get this addendum done? Did we get the inspection ordered? And it would literally, I would go through that list, and it would take me about 30 minutes every morning to go through that pending, not active. Now, the video is about 25 active listings. I ain't do much with those. But the pending deals, I would go through every single day and just make sure there wasn't anything. It would take me 30 minutes. By 8:30 every day, I was done. From 8:30 on, I'm looking for more deals, and I'm not even thinking about anything on my active and my pending board. So that's how you easily handle 25 plus listings at all times. And if you want to learn how to actually stack listings, watch this video right here.